What's good, y'all? Tristan here, and today I'm going to be sharing with you 50 more differences between America and Australia. So after I was in Australia for 100 days, I did a video titled 100 differences between America and Australia, and you guys absolutely loved it. It has been my most viewed and liked video on this channel. And now that I've been here for almost a year, I've seen a lot more of Australia and come across some more differences. If this video gets 1,000 likes in the first week of me posting it, I will make a follow-up video with 25 more differences between America and Australia. So if you'd like to see that, please make sure and give this video a big old like. So the first difference between America and Australia is peanut butter and jelly sandwiches aren't really a thing over here. My whole life, I always thought peanut butter and jelly sandwiches were kind of a pretty universal. It's like the stereotypical school kid lunch in America, but it turns out that's actually a really American dish. Here they don't even have jelly, they have jam, which really is the same thing as jelly, but it's just a little bit more thicker, a little bit more chunkier. However, the type of jelly used for peanut butter and jelly sandwiches is usually grape jelly. That's the most popular one for sure. And for some reason here in Australia, they literally have every single type of jam you could possibly imagine besides grape jam. I can't find grape jam anywhere. But plum jam has been the most similar jam to grape jelly, I'd say, in the States. The next difference is the emergency number in America is 911, where here in Australia it is 000. Pretty important to know when you come over here. And then the third difference is that they have a lot of half police officers over here. I'm sure they have a more official name, but I just call them half police officers. I would describe these people as parking police officers in the States. You know how we have police officers that give parking tickets, but they're not real police? Well, they have a lot of those here. When I was in Cairns, there were some always kind of walking the streets around the city that just, kind of keep order, but they're not full-on police officers. Next up is dogs are actually prohibited here in a lot of places in Australia. You can't bring them to a lot of beaches and most parks. And number 5 is it is illegal not to vote. You will get fined if you don't vote in elections here. And speaking of voting in politics, liberals here are not considered the same thing that liberals are in the States. In the States, liberals are the opposite of conservatives. So conservatives are more right-winged, liberals are left-winged. Well, here in Australia, liberal refers to the Liberal Party, which is a more right-winged party here in Australia. Next up is Australia is far less religious. It is, I'd say, the cool, the norm thing in Australia is probably to be not religious, or at least you're not really judged for saying you're atheist or something like that. Well, in the States, whether you're actually Christian or not, everyone just kind of says oh yeah, I'm Christian, because it's the cool, it's the norm to be Christian. Next one's a little funny, and that is the brand Axe in America is called Lynx here in Australia. And what I find a little comical about it is it has the exact same stereotype of being every 12-year-old's first deodorant and put way too much on it. Exact same stereotype here, just a different name. Next up is pineapples here often don't have the spikes on them when they're selling them at grocery stores, which is honestly kind of smart. It saves room when shipping and storing them in the store and whatnot. You just whack off the top. Number 10 is the Wi-Fi here is not the greatest, to say the least. It is behind, the average internet speed is behind, average Wi-Fi speed is behind countries such as India, Kazakhstan, Thailand. So for such a developed country, the Wi-Fi just, I don't know, isn't quite up to speed. Number 11 is there are a lot of dead animals on the roads here whenever you get outside of the cities. There are lots of reasons for this, but the animals here just kind of the warmth of the road, the light of the cars, and the water that sometimes forms on the side of the roads is what I've heard. And so that's why they all kind of congregate there and oftentimes get killed. And that brings me to number 12, which is you can't or shouldn't drive at night in a lot of places in Australia, like Western Australia, Northern Territory. And that's just because there are so many animals, you have such a high likelihood to hit them that they don't want you to drive, or it's not smart. To give you an idea of how common it is to hit an animal here, whenever you're renting a camper van, or at least when I was renting a camper van here, I bought all the insurance and all that stuff. I was covered for, pretty much everything, but the one thing that they would not insure you for is if you hit an animal. Next up, we got $1 frozen Cokes at McDonald's. They're kind of just like 7-Elevens, Coke flavored Slurpees. 14 is they don't have the little lever on gas pumps to pump your gas automatically. 15 is chicken wings are usually connected like this, not like this, and they are oftentimes not breaded, or I don't know if I've ever seen them breaded in Australia. 17 is points on your license. So if you get enough points on your license from tickets here in Australia, then you get your license taken away, and we don't really have the whole point system in America. Also, for the first couple years where you're learning to drive, and then once you get your license, you're gonna have L plates and P plates, red and green P plates. Those are secondary license plates, just kind of saying that you're a new driver, and yeah, we don't have those in America. 18 is kind of an awesome thing about Australia, and that is there are way more public toilets here. There are so many public toilets, and they're so much nicer than they are in America. If you're in a public toilet in America, you do not want to touch anything. They are nasty shitholes, literally. In Australia, they're clean, they're nice, they're fancy. When I was in Cairns, all the public toilets there, they had automatic doors. You just go up and hit a button, and the door opened automatically. So much nicer than they are in the States. Next up, number 19, and that is that the sun is way stronger here in Australia than it is in America. I said this a little bit wrong in one of my past videos. It's not because there's a hole in the ozone layer, it's because the axis of the Earth's orbit around the sun makes it a little bit closer to the sun during their summer here. And if you still don't believe the sun is stronger here, well, Australia is #1 for highest rates of skin cancer per capita. On top of that, at a lot of schools here, they have a no hat, no play policy. So they do have uniforms here, as I mentioned in my last video. Well, you have to wear a hat as part of that uniform whenever you're outside at, during like the summer months of the year. Number 21 is something I really like here, really shows the casualness of Australia, and that is you don't need a shirt or shoes to go shopping in a lot of places. Actually, like almost everywhere. I even have been in just my swimsuit before. Number 22 is they have takeaway sushi in a lot of places here, so you can just kind of go grab it and like eat it to go. They don't cut the sushi, so you can like eat it as you go, and I don't know, I've never really seen that in the States. If it is there, it's definitely not common. 23, and I can't believe I didn't mention this in my last video, but that is the drinking age here is 18 and not 21. You also cannot advertise alcohol here in Australia. Number 25 is, oh my god, this one gets me, guys. That is, Sour Patches here are not the same as they are in America. Sour Patches are like one of my favorite candies. I love them so much. And here in Australia, like the flavoring for all of them is just completely different. They don't taste the same at all. They don't taste, I don't even like them here. And they don't have the blue ones. And oh, it's just, it's devastating. Australians, if you ever go to America, you have to try the Sour Patches. I'm telling you, that is like one of the candies that is so much better in the States. They ruined them here. It makes me so sad. Number 26 is it is more common to live with your parents longer here in Australia than in the States. In the States, you're kind of like expected to move out when you're 18. Some people do stay. It's not like uncommon to stay at your house, but it's definitely kind of expected that you leave. Here in Australia, it is way more common and socially acceptable to stay with your parents for longer. Number 27 is there are no garbage disposals in the sinks here, and 28 is the distance between cities in Australia is so much bigger than it is in America. Like all my European friends think America is spread out. Like they think driving 3 hours to the next city is crazy. Like 3 hours is like should be like to a new country. I'm in Brisbane right now. The next city is like 1 million people in it is Sydney, which is like 10 hours away. I live in Austin in Texas, and I can get to 5 cities with or maybe four cities with over 1 million people in them, all within a 3-hour drive of my house. Next difference here is they do not have Cheetos here, but they do have Cheeto Puffs. They usually don't bring the check to your table at a restaurant, but a lot of people like this because something that people, like foreigners, often don't like about America is the fact that they feel rushed when they're at a restaurant, and so this definitely slows the whole like process down, and you just pay the check, you leave whenever you're feeling it. Number 31 is most watermelon here is sold pre-cut, which is honestly pretty nice because you don't waste as much of it. The Australian DMV, like the place you go to get like your car like registered, to get it, I don't know, to get your driver's license, that type of stuff. They call it a different name in every state, but it is so much nicer here. It's a pleasant experience, it's quick, it's clean, it's just, oh my god, it's so great because anyone who's been to America, to the DMV in America, knows it is hell going to the DMV. 33 is something really cool, and I think we should implement this in the States, and that is they have multiple minimum wages. So when you're younger, you have like a lower minimum wage, and then as you get older, the minimum wage goes up, and I think it stops whenever you're around like 2021 here in Australia. That's like the highest minimum wage that you can get. Number 34 is kind of a scam they have here in grocery stores. It's not really a scam, but they have like these sales on items in grocery stores that aren't really sales. They'll put these stickers on it that make it look like it's a sale, but all it means is it's like the price right now is cheaper than it was 6 months ago, a year ago, 2 years ago. Just if it doesn't have that sticker on it, it pretty much means that is the most expensive that product has ever been. But you see these stickers and you're like, ah, sale, but no, it's not a sale at all. It's just the regular price. 35 is quite general, but I had to throw it in there because I really like this, and that is the style / fashion here in Australia. I just like the way people typically dress here in Australia more than I like how they dress in the States. Speaking of style, we got number 36, and that is you don't need someone to like unlock your dressing room whenever you're trying on clothes while like shopping here. Usually all the dressing rooms are just open. You can go in there and try on your clothes, which is really nice because in America you have to like go flag down an employee. They oftentimes like give you a number like how many clothes you go in there with and then how many clothes you leave with so you don't steal anything. 37 is beetroot on burger, so it is really common here in Australia whenever you get a burger for it to come with beetroot. 38 is something that really surprised me. I found this super interesting, and that is turkey like isn't really a meat option here that they have much. Like I would argue in America, probably the #1 most common meat to have on a sandwich is turkey. If not #1, like it's right up there. Where here in Australia, you go to the grocery store and like you can't even find turkey. I mean, maybe you can, but it's like one little thing. I don't know. Yeah, it's really uncommon. We also obviously have turkey on Thanksgiving, but despite that, I've never seen a turkey, not one time, not a live turkey once in America. Here in Australia, especially in Queensland, you see wild turkeys like pretty regularly. Like you go to a park, there's a good chance there's gonna be a wild turkey there. I just kind of find it funny that like they clearly have tons of turkeys here in Australia, but they don't really eat them, where in America, I don't know if we have any wild turkeys. I mean, I'm sure we have to, but yeah, but we eat them all the time. Number 40 is you pay in weeks here in Australia opposed to paying in months. This applies to things like rent, gym memberships, and even kind of like cell phone bills. Like I pay every 28 days, not up to like every 4 weeks, not every month. 41 is the toilet flushing technology here, and Australian was actually just telling me about this like a couple days ago. They were saying that pretty much like they're like, have you ever seen a toilet clog here? And I was like, honestly, no, I've never seen a toilet clog. And they're like, yeah, that's because the flushing technology is much better. The pipe is like twice as thick as it is in America. It could fit a baseball through it. And then also like the way it bends and sucks the water down in the toilet is different. So I don't know, it's more efficient, I guess. 42 is really neat, and that is that every single bill here is a different size. So if you're blind, you can pay like at a shop or whatever by just feeling the size of each bill. 43 is they don't have ice machines in hotels here, so it is just like stock standard in America. Every single hotel, every floor has its own ice machine that you can get and bring the ice into your room for like drinks. Number 45 I actually got from one of you subscribers. You DM'd this to me on Instagram, and that was, you said our school years are different because the school year here runs like through the calendar year, and then our school years in America run through the financial year. And I was like, oh, that's actually two differences. So here in Australia, yes, like school starts like in the beginning of the year, ends around like December. And then in America, school starts in like August and ends in around May. Well, the second difference is, notice he said the financial year, and that is the financial year is also different here in Australia. So in America, the financial year is like the calendar year. It's like, you know, January through December. But in Australia, the financial year starts July 1st and ends June 30th. Forgive me if you hear that noise in the background. Some kids just turned on the pool jets, but I don't know. What are you gonna do about it? Number 45 is tradie culture. So here in Australia, there's a big like culture. There's like a group of people that are referred to as tradies, or like tradesmen, but they're really like respected here in Australia. Like they're just kind of like looked on favorably, I guess you could say. And in America, we don't have a tradie culture, and people who are like building stuff, like working construction and whatnot, or like our plumbers, electricians, they're not like looked on, they're not like as respected as they are here in Australia. Really hard to describe that one, but you just kind of have to go to both places to see it. Next up is Kmarts here are really nice and fairly popular. So back in the States, I've actually never been to a Kmart, but I've always thought of it as like the crack house Walmart, which like that's saying a lot, because like Walmart's kind of like a crack house. Back in their prime, there were over 2,000 Kmarts in America, and now they're down to 34. So they're just really like not a thing in America. Next up is iced coffee here is different. It has ice cream in it. It looks like this. It's kind of like an American like frappe, but with ice cream. I don't know. I am not a coffee drinker, but some people have told me about this, and it sounds like super cool. So just to be clear, they do have like normal iced coffee with like ice cubes here, but that is like another way they do iced coffee here. I'm sure there's more to this that I don't know, so I don't know. Feel free to inform me in the comments. But yeah, they have some sorts of coffee with ice cream in it. Now this is something that kind of shocked me, because I don't know, I thought they did this in every country, but that is that coupons aren't really a thing in Australia. Like things might be on sale, but you know, you're not going through magazines and like cutting out coupons. I remember like sitting down with my mom as a little kid, and like she would like cut coupons out of the magazines or whatever. I'd like help her like fold laundry and whatnot. Well, that's like that's not a thing over here in Australia at all. Like coupons, like they'll have deals, but like coupon cutting and whatnot, it's just not really existent. Apparently it's like a super American thing, and I don't know, I never realized that. If you're enjoying this video, please make sure to give it a big old like. I would love to try thinking of 25 more differences between America and Australia. My last difference for you today, number 50, is even though both countries do speak English, the language and the slang here is way different than it is in America. And if you want to learn 50 Aussie slang words and phrases, you can just click that video right over there. And I also have a video of 100 Aussie slang words down in the description below. Thank you all so much for watching. Peace.